Here are Grandpa's 39 camping food hacks you have to know. Soften stale bread by dunking in coffee. Sometimes the crusty loaf packed 2 days ago turns dry by morning. One trick Grandpa always used was dunking slices of stale bread straight into his mug of hot campfire coffee. The warmth and moisture quickly revive the texture, making it soft enough to chew while still holding flavor. It's a practical solution when fresh supplies are out of reach. This method works best with dense loaves like sourdough or rye. Add a bit of butter or salt afterward for taste, or toast the dunked slice on a pan for crisp edges and a chewy center. Pack hardtack biscuits for long-lasting trail energy. Did you know that hardtack was a staple ration for sailors and soldiers for centuries? Its dry, dense nature makes it nearly indestructible and perfect for long trips where food spoils easily. Though tough to chew, these simple flour water salt biscuits store for months and provide lasting energy on the trail. Crack them into soup, stew, or hot coffee to soften and add bulk to meals. Some campers also smear them with bacon grease or jam. Store in a dry, sealed tin and label them well. They're not much fun if mistaken for firewood. Hang food bag high to keep bears out. Keeping critters and especially bears out of your food is essential when camping. Tie your food bag to a sturdy rope and hoist it at least 12 feet off the ground and 6 feet away from the tree trunk. This technique, known as bear bagging, helps keep your supplies safe overnight or while you're away from camp. Use a rock tied to the end of your rope to throw it over a high branch, then clip the food bag securely. For added security, double bag odorous items and avoid storing any food in your tent. Wrap bacon in cornmeal to prevent spoil. Bacon is a campsite favorite, but it doesn't keep long without refrigeration. Grandpa used to roll his strips in dry cornmeal, which soaked up moisture and created a crust that helped keep the bacon from spoiling too fast. The cornmeal also protects it from flies and grit during travel. When cooked, the cornmeal crisps up, giving the bacon a tasty, crackly edge. Store the wrapped strips in a cloth pouch or paper wrap, not plastic, to allow air circulation. Cook directly over fire on a stick or in a pan until golden and sizzling. Cook onions and potatoes directly in campfire embers. No pan? No problem. Just bury halved onions or whole potatoes in hot campfire embers and let them roast from the inside out. The natural skin acts as a casing, keeping the inside steamy and flavorful. Turn the vegetables occasionally with tongs or sticks to ensure even cooking. When the outer layer is charred, peel it back to reveal soft, smoky flesh, perfect as a side or main. Wrap in foil for easier cleanup, or add a dab of butter and herbs before burying for extra richness. Test doneness by piercing with a knife after 30 minutes. Fry eggs with rendered bacon fat. Nothing starts a campsite morning like eggs sizzling in bacon grease. After frying up a few strips, Grandpa always reserved the fat and cracked his eggs straight into the hot pan. The rendered fat not only adds flavor, but keeps the eggs from sticking, even in older cast iron. It also crisps the edges beautifully while infusing that rich, smoky aroma. If you're low on oil or butter, this trick pulls double duty. Save extra fat in a tin for later meals. It works equally well for cooking potatoes, greens, or even flatbread dough. Bury cast iron pot to slow cook stew. For a slow cooked meal without hovering over flames, bury your loaded cast iron pot directly in hot earth and embers. Dig a shallow pit. Fill with coals. Place the pot inside and cover it with soil and more coals. The trapped heat simmers your stew gently for hours, much like an old-fashioned earth oven. This method frees you up to hike or rest while dinner cooks itself. Don't forget to mark the spot with a stick or stone. Use this technique with hearty ingredients like root vegetables, beans, and tough cuts of meat that benefit from long cooking. Wrap fish in wet newspaper, then roast in coals. Fresh-caught fish cooks beautifully using this old campfire trick. Wrap the gutted fish in several layers of soaked newspaper, then bury it in glowing coals. The moisture steams the fish inside while the outer layers char away, leaving behind perfectly tender meat. Flip the bundle once halfway through to ensure even heat. This method eliminates the need for pans or foil and keeps the fish from drying out. Once cooked, unwrap carefully. The newspaper will be hot and messy. Season with salt and herbs beforehand for extra flavor, or add lemon slices inside the cavity. Dust eggs with ashes, then store in tin box. Unwashed eggs naturally keep for days, but coating them in cool wood ash extends their life even further. The ash forms a barrier against moisture and bacteria, preserving the eggs without refrigeration. Place them gently into a tin box lined with ash and keep it in a shaded, cool area of your campsite. Avoid bumping the eggs or shaking the box too much, as the coating can crack. This method works best with fresh, unwashed farm eggs. Use clean hardwood ash only, not from trash or chemically treated wood, to prevent off flavors or contamination. Wrap cheese in beeswax to keep it fresh. Preserving cheese on long trips takes some preparation. Coat hard cheeses in melted beeswax to seal in moisture and block mold. Dip or brush the cheese completely. Let the wax cool and harden, then wrap it in cloth or store it in a small tin. This method helps the cheese last for weeks without refrigeration, especially in dry climates. Choose firm cheeses like cheddar or Gouda for best results. Cut only what you need at camp and reseal exposed areas with another layer of melted wax if necessary to maintain freshness. Dry apple rings on string near fire. A simple way to preserve fruit while camping is to slice apples thinly and hang them near the fire to dry. Thread the slices onto twine or clean string, keeping space between each for airflow. Hang the line in a warm, smoke-free area where heat can gently dehydrate the rings. Flip slices occasionally to ensure even drying. The result is a chewy, naturally sweet snack that lasts days on the trail. Store dried apples in a paper bag or tin once cooled. This same method works with pears, plums, or even citrus peels. Store flour in cloth sack to keep dry. Canvas or tightly woven cloth sacks are perfect for storing flour at camp. Unlike plastic, cloth allows airflow while still keeping insects and moisture out. This breathability helps prevent clumping and mold, especially in always humid conditions. Tie the sack securely and hang it from a tree or inside your food bag to avoid ground dampness. Choose a light-colored cloth to easily spot dirt or pests. You can also double wrap with a second layer if rain is expected. Sift the flour before use to break up any settled bits and ensure a smooth mix for cooking. Mix oatmeal with dried fruit for quick breakfast. One of the fastest and most energizing trail breakfasts is a simple mix of oats and dried fruit. Combine rolled oats, chopped raisins, apples, or berries in a tin or bag before your trip. At camp, just add hot water and stir. The fruit rehydrates, sweetens the oats naturally, and delivers lasting fuel for hiking or paddling. Let it sit covered for 5 minutes to soften completely. Add a pinch of salt or cinnamon for flavor, or stir in a spoonful of nut butter for extra calories. This also works as a no-cook meal if soaked overnight. Steep pine needles in boiled water for vitamin C. Pine needle tea isn't just an old trail tradition. It's packed with vitamin C. Gather a handful of young, bright green needles. Avoid brown or old growth. Rinse them and steep in just boiled water for 10 to 15 minutes. The flavor is citrusy and slightly herbal. Ideal for chilly mornings. Don't boil the needles directly, which can release bitter compounds. This tea may help stave off colds or scurvy during long outdoor stays. Strain before drinking to remove floating bits, and always verify the tree type. White pine is safe, but you and other lookalikes are toxic. Toast corn kernels over fire for trail snack. Popcorn isn't just for stovetops. It works great over a fire too. Place dried corn kernels in a foil pouch with a splash of oil and fold it tightly shut, leaving room for the popcorn to expand. Shake the pouch over hot coals or embers until the kernels pop. It takes a bit of timing and movement, but it's worth it for a warm, crunchy snack. Season afterward with salt, smoked paprika, or even sugar if you have it on hand. Carry extra foil packs pre-filled so you can pop fresh batches each evening. Whittle marshmallow sticks using your pocket knife. A proper marshmallow stick makes all the difference around the campfire. Cut a green, sturdy branch and use your pocket knife to whittle one end to a fine point. Green wood resists burning and offers better grip for marshmallows or sausages. Avoid resin-heavy woods like pine, which can release bitter smoke. Sharpen just enough to pierce the food without risking a splinter. After use, scrub clean or burn the tip slightly to sterilize for next time. For group trips, personalize sticks with carved initials so everyone knows which skewer belongs to them. Cook biscuits on stick over open flame. No skillet? You can still enjoy warm biscuits by wrapping dough around a clean stick. Roll your biscuit dough into a rope and spiral it down a smooth, peeled branch. Hold it over glowing coals, not direct flame, and rotate slowly to cook evenly. The outside should crisp and brown, while the inside becomes fluffy. This method takes 10 to 15 minutes, depending on dough thickness. Dip the cooked biscuit in honey or jam for a trail treat. For a savory twist, mix in dried herbs or cheese before shaping the dough around the stick. Soak beans at midday to cook them faster. Midday is the best time to begin soaking dried beans if you want them ready by nightfall. The heat from the sun helps jumpstart hydration, softening the beans more quickly than overnight soaking in cold water. Place them in a pot or tin with clean water and leave it covered in a warm, safe spot. Change the water once if it becomes cloudy. After several hours, they'll cook in a fraction of the time over the fire. Add salt only after cooking to avoid tough skins. If available, toss in garlic or herbs for flavor during the simmer. Fry everything in lard for rich flavor. Cooking with lard at camp adds unbeatable flavor and richness to nearly any meal. It has a high smoke point, making it ideal for frying eggs, potatoes, bread, or even fish directly in your cast iron. Lard also stores well without refrigeration for several days if kept sealed and shaded. Its dense fat content creates a crispy exterior and prevents sticking without needing butter or oil. Scoop small amounts as needed to avoid waste. For extra flavor, render fat from salt pork or bacon earlier in the day and strain it through a cloth to store cleanly. Steep coffee grounds inside sock in hot water. When you're short, a percolator, an old sock or a cloth bag makes a fine stand-in. Place coffee grounds inside a clean sock or muslin pouch, tie it off, and steep it directly in a pot of hot, not boiling water. Let it sit for 5 to 7 minutes, depending on desired strength, stirring occasionally. This method filters out grounds and keeps cleanup simple. If you don't have a sock, a bandana or cheesecloth works just as well. For a smoother brew, pour a little cold water in after steeping to help the grounds settle before drinking. Wrap dough around stick-to-bake bannock. Bannock bread is a campsite favorite and surprisingly easy to prepare with just flour, water, and salt. Roll the dough into a rope and wrap it around a peeled green stick, spiraling upward so it clings well. Hold over hot coals, never direct flame, and rotate slowly for even baking. The dough should puff and turn golden brown in 10 to 15 minutes. Tap to check doneness. A hollow sound means it's ready. This method works great for cinnamon sugar bannock or savory herbs mixed in. Eat warm off the stick or fill with cooked meat or jam. Salt meat heavily to preserve without refrigeration. Did you know that salt preserves meat by drawing out moisture and creating an environment where bacteria can't grow? This dehydration process, called osmosis, inhibits spoilage and has been relied on for centuries, long before iceboxes or refrigeration. At camp, coat meat liberally on all sides with coarse salt and let it rest in a shaded, breathable wrap like cheesecloth or parchment. As the salt pulls out liquid, the surface dries and firms up. Rinse lightly before cooking to reduce salinity. For best results, use on thicker cuts or fatty pieces that benefit from slow curing and fire roasting. Scrub skillet using a raw potato piece. Cleaning a cast iron skillet doesn't require soap or fancy brushes. Cut a raw potato in half and dip the flat side in coarse salt. Use it like a scrubber, moving in circles to lift food residue and stains from the surface. The potato's natural starch acts as a mild abrasive and helps lift grease without harming the seasoning. Once clean, wipe dry and warm the skillet slightly before applying a thin layer of oil. This method also works on griddles and flat pans. Just avoid using it on cold or rusty metal for best results. Keep matches dry inside old pepper shaker. Grandpa had a clever trick for fire starting. He stored wooden matches inside an empty pepper shaker. The shaker's tight-fitting lid kept moisture out, even during damp weather. Its compact size made it easy to stash in a pack or cooking box, and the small holes on top helped air circulate without letting in rain or dew. You could shake out one match at a time without exposing the rest. Always strike on the shaker's metal bottom or pack a small strip of sandpaper inside. Add a cotton ball to absorb humidity and protect the tips even better. Seal leftovers in Dutch oven after cooling. Preserving cooked food overnight at camp starts with cooling it properly. Once your stew or beans are no longer steaming, cover them in the Dutch oven and secure the lid tightly. Cast iron retains temperature well, and sealing it helps keep pests and dirt out. Let it rest on a raised rock or hang it out of reach to deter animals. Avoid sealing hot food immediately, as trapped steam encourages bacterial growth. You can also line the pot with a layer of clean leaves for insulation. The next morning, reheat thoroughly until bubbling before eating. Hang tin cup from belt for quick use. Having a tin cup within arm's reach makes hydration and cooking easier on the trail. Loop the handle onto your belt or tie it with twine so it's always handy for scooping water, sipping coffee, or measuring ingredients. Tin cools quickly, so it's perfect for quick drinks after boiling. Be sure the cup is fully cooled before reattaching it to avoid burns. Choose one with a sturdy handle that won't bend or snap off under movement. If your belt is too thick, clip it to your pack loop or hang it from a buttonhole. Bake apples with raisins inside campfire coals. Campfire baked apples are a classic, comforting dessert that requires minimal prep. Core the apples and stuff them with raisins, a sprinkle of sugar, and a dash of cinnamon if available. Wrap each apple tightly in foil and nestle it directly into the coals of your fire, rotating occasionally. In about 20 minutes, the apples become soft and syrupy, with the raisins plump and sweet. Let them rest a few minutes before unwrapping to avoid burns. Add a handful of chopped nuts or a pat of butter before wrapping for a richer flavor and texture. Roast corn in husk over hot embers. Corn can be roasted directly in its husk for a flavorful, charred treat. Place whole ears on the edge of the fire or over glowing embers, not active flame, and rotate every few minutes. The husk protects the kernels from burning and helps steam the inside for tenderness. After 15 to 20 minutes, the outer layers will blacken, but the corn inside becomes juicy and smoky. Let it cool slightly, then peel back the husk and silk. Sprinkle with salt, rub with lard or butter if available, or twist into foil to keep warm until the rest of the meal is ready. Suspend kettle from tripod to control heat. Using a tripod to suspend your kettle allows for better heat control while cooking or boiling water. Build a sturdy tripod from 3 strong branches and lash them together at the top. Hang the kettle using a chain, wire hook, or strong greenwood handle. Adjust the height by raising or lowering the pot to avoid rapid boiling or scorching. This setup keeps your kettle out of direct flames and evenly heated by surrounding coals. Always test balance and stability before leaving it unattended. The tripod also works well for hanging Dutch ovens or cooking meat on a swing arm. Place hot rocks around pot to keep simmering. When you need to maintain heat without overcooking, surrounding your pot with hot rocks works wonders. Instead of placing it directly over a flame, use smooth, dry stones heated in the fire and arranged around the base of the pot. This method gives a steady, even warmth that's ideal for long simmers or keeping food warm after cooking. Rotate fresh rocks in as others cool. Be sure the rocks are dry. Wet ones can explode from trapped steam. For better heat retention, place a flat lid or tin plate on top to trap rising heat around the food. Carry molasses for sweetener and energy boost. Molasses is a powerhouse sweetener, and one grandpa always kept in his kit. Just a spoonful is rich in iron, potassium, and calcium, perfect for keeping energy up on long treks. Thicker and more stable than honey, it stores well, even without refrigeration. Stir it into hot cereal, use it to glaze meat, or add to campfire biscuits for a deep, earthy sweetness. A metal flask or sealed jar works best for transport. In a pinch, mix it with a bit of water and salt for a quick energy tonic that's both replenishing and flavorful. Rehydrate jerky strips in pot of soup. Jerky doesn't have to stay tough and chewy. Drop a few strips into your cooking pot while soup or stew simmers to soften them back into tender, savory meat. This method not only makes the jerky easier to chew, but it also infuses your broth with rich, meaty flavor. Beef, venison, or turkey jerky all work well as long as they're unsweetened. Cut into bite-sized pieces before adding for faster rehydration. You can also soak jerky in water for 30 minutes beforehand if time allows, making it even more fork tender when cooked. Warm canned beans beside fire, not inside. Heating canned beans is easy, but placing the can directly in the fire can be dangerous. Instead, set it near, not in, the hot embers or coals, and rotate it occasionally. This allows gentle heating without the risk of pressure buildup or metal splitting. If you open the can first and stir occasionally, the contents will warm more evenly and safely. Use a stick or glove to move the can, and never heat sealed cans over direct flame. Once warm, pour into a bowl or eat straight with a spoon. Sprinkle in dried herbs for extra flavor. Melt sliced cheese on hardtack crackers. Hardtack on its own can be bland and tough, but adding cheese transforms it into a satisfying snack. Place thin slices of cheese on top of hardtack and rest it near the fire on a flat rock or tin surface. The heat will slowly soften the cheese without burning the cracker. Once the cheese begins to bubble slightly, it's ready to eat. Try pairing with cooked beans or smoked meat for a full camp meal. You can also sandwich 2 crackers around the cheese and wrap in foil to heat more evenly. Build evergreen rack to dry gear and food. Drying gear or food in camp requires airflow and distance from smoke. A simple rack made from evergreen limbs and forked sticks provides a stable platform above the ground. Place the rack near, not directly over, your fire to benefit from warmth without scorching. Hang wet socks, jerky strips, or damp packs on the branches. Pine and spruce are ideal for their flexibility and aroma. Always check for sap to avoid sticky residue. Use lashings or notched branches to secure the frame and angle it slightly for better drainage if drying wet garments after rain. Submerge milk bottle in stream to cool naturally. Did you know that flowing water can keep perishables cool even without ice? Submerging a sealed bottle of milk or any beverage in a cold stream mimics refrigeration by pulling heat away through constant movement. Tuck the container into a shallow spot where water flows steadily and weigh it down with rocks so it doesn't drift. Always double-check the seal to prevent contamination. Wrap the bottle in cloth to filter sunlight and slow temperature change even more. This trick works great for butter, cheese, or leftovers too. Just use a mesh bag for items that aren't in containers. Bake flatbread on hot flat rock surface. If you're short a skillet, a smooth, clean, flat rock makes a great baking surface. Heat the rock near the fire until it's hot to the touch, but not cracking. Then place your flattened dough directly on it. The rock's radiant heat cooks the bread from the bottom, while the fire's warmth crisps the top. Flip once for even cooking. Use flour, salt, and water for a basic dough, or mix in herbs or dried onions for flavor. Clean the rock first with hot water and a scrub, and test its heat with a drop of water before cooking. Use hollowed orange peel to cook eggs. Here's a clever campfire method with built-in flavor. Crack an egg into a hollowed-out orange half and set it on hot coals. The peel protects the egg from direct heat while infusing it with a hint of citrus. The thick rind holds up surprisingly well and acts like a tiny pot. Cook until the white is set and yolk reaches your desired firmness. You can add salt, pepper, or even dice veggies before cooking for a quick breakfast twist. Choose oranges with thick, sturdy skins and use a spoon to scoop out the flesh cleanly before filling.